Hello dear viewers, you are watching RTD's English News Edition. Here are our headlines for this evening. The Ministry of Interior concerning the weather conditions implementing the Civil Security Response Organization Plan. In international news, Israel Netanyahu charged with corruption. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. Interior Minister Mumin Ahmed Sheikh launched the RSEC plan early this morning at the prefecture because of the heavy rains that fell throughout the evening and until this morning. The other participants in this crisis meeting were the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Communication in charge of Postal and Telecommunication, the State Secretary for Decentralization, the General of the Djibouti Armed Forces, the Colonel of the Police Force, the Chief of the Gendarmerie Staff, the Director of the Civil Protection, Director of ONAYAD, the Mayor of the capital, the Director of the Radio Television of Djibouti, Mohammed Suleiman, the Director of the Natural Disaster, the Head of the ADR, and the responsible of Djibouti Electricity Company. The RSEC plan, Organization of the Civil Security Response, allows for the rapid and effective implementation of all the necessary means to assist the affected populations living in the capital and in the interior regions. The participants in this crisis meeting who reviewed the affected sectors agreed to make available to the population the logistical resources of the Djibouti Armed Forces, including vehicles of the Republican Guard, the Gendarmerie, and the police, among others. It should be recalled that at the end of the ceremony on National and African Youth Day, the President of the Republic, accompanied by the Prime Minister, carried out a helicopter inspection in the various districts of the capital and its suburbs. The President of the Assembly and several government ministries yesterday carried out proximity visits to the various districts of the capital to see the situation after the heavy rainfall. In his statement, the Minister of the Interior Forces indicated that the Djibouti Armed Forces can manage this situation, which will not require, as he said, to ask for assistance from the front forces in Djibouti. The ministry started the work as follows. The National Police will take care of the Balbala in order to assist the population. The Coast Guards will be in charge of the third district. The Djibouti Armed Forces and the Gendarmerie will assist the residents of the District 2 and 1. Also, the Minister of the Interior, Mumin Ahmed Sheikh, put into service a toll-free number on 1516 so that the population can request assistance directly by sending their addresses, and a team will come to their aid. The Minister of the Interior also asks the population to use this number only in case of emergency. And finally, the Minister thanked the Djibouti Armed Forces, the National Police, the Gendarmerie, the Republican Guard, and the Coast Guards for their assistance yesterday, and is convinced that they will do the same today. On this blessed day on Friday, the rains that fell during the evening until the early morning unfortunately caused a family tragedy. Indeed, a landslide caused the death of 4 children and their mother and father are seriously injured near District 4 in the commune of Balbala. The member of the government in charge of the RSEC emergency plan, headed by Interior Minister Mumin Ahmed Sheikh, accompanied by Communication Minister Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon in charge of Postal and Telecommunications, the Minister of Housing in Amina Abdi Aden, and State Secretary for Decentralization, Mr. Aramis, rushed to the scene to assist the family members. The delegation led by the Minister of the Interior Force visited the Sheikh of Balbala Hospital to show their solidarity and that of the government of Djibouti with the victims' families. Interior Minister Mumin Ahmed Sheikh also visited the family's home to provide moral and financial support to the family so that they could fully and as well as possible cope with their grief. In addition, the delegation fully associated itself with their grief and expressed its readiness to support their pain and offer their very sincere condolences and expressions of deep sympathy. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Since the beginning of the rains, the Civil Protection and Sanitation Service has been working to assist the population in the capital's district in Balbala. Civil protection intervened in several districts flooded by rainwater. The pipes are operating in the most affected areas. The sanitation services have planned to open some water channels to the sea. The elements of the fire brigade are positioned to assist the population and clear the water in the various to improve the circulation, which is very difficult. And as far as the weather is concerned, persistence of rainy weather with the presence of cloudy clusters from the Gulf of Aden that can cause intermittent showers of a thundery nature at night and in the early morning. Clarifications are planned for the afternoon. The wind will blow from east to northeast from light to sometimes moderate. Visibility will be good, sometimes reduced under the rainfall. The sea will be light to temporarily agitate offshore. And from this information, the prefect of RTD, Mr. Mohammed Sheikho Hassan, informs users of the National Road 1 and motorists traveling to RTD City to be very vigilant, cautious due to the heavy rainfall on the road leading to RTD City and the risk of cliff rocks falling near the road leaving Waha from the corridor. On Wednesday evening, 20 November 2019, the Republic of Indonesia celebrated the 74th anniversary of its creation and the 40th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Indonesia and Djibouti. The embassy of the Republic of Indonesia accredited to Djibouti, resident to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and the African Union hosted a reception on this occasion at the Palace Kempinski Hotel. The reception, attended by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Commerce, and the President of the Djibouti Chamber of Commerce, was an opportunity for Mr. Al-Busari Basnour, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to Djibouti, to reiterate his country's support for the Republic of Djibouti in the economic and social field. Also, several members of the government, representatives of diplomatic corps, and a number of other personalities took part. These distinguished guests enjoyed the friendly atmosphere of the evening. Indonesia, the largest Muslim country in the world, has maintained diplomatic and commercial ties with Djibouti since 1979, while maintaining close relations for the benefit of both countries, according to the Indonesian ambassador to Djibouti in a speech he delivered for this occasion.
To Indonesia, Djibouti is not only our Muslim brothers and sisters, but also a strong partner, especially in the field of politics, security, and economy. We become friends and partners in international forums and nurtured their relation to strengthen people-to-people contact. Our bilateral efforts are also shown throughout our bilateral meetings and consultation over the years to talk about each country's priority and interest, as well as in establishing joint effort in asserting global challenges. Several were to be mentioned are the visit of President of Djibouti, Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, to Indonesia to attend the 50th anniversary of Asia-Africa Conference in April 2005. Recognizing all the bilateral effort being made, allow me to express my satisfaction and appreciation at the steady growth of friendship and cooperation between Djibouti and Indonesia. I'm confident that the relation of both countries will continue moving forward and working hand in hand in setting new milestones toward significant partnership.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, said that trade and investment development cooperation in partnership in the geothermal energy sector are the main focus of bilateral discussions and negotiations with Indonesia. Let's listen to him.
It is indeed a great honor for me to be part of this historic event. I would like to seize this opportunity to congratulate the Indonesian government and people for the celebration of the 74th anniversary of the country's independence. Djibouti and Indonesia share common values of peace and security for all, peaceful coexistence and co-development between countries and peoples. For decades, Mr. Ambassador, your country has been stable and steadily growing and became one of the dragons of Southeast Asia. Today, Indonesia is playing a key role in the stability and the security of Malacca Strait. There are parallels between Djibouti and Indonesia in the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. There is no overplanning because, for the sake of peace, you have been instrumental in creating a safe haven for maritime trade in the Strait of Malacca. With a population of over 250 million people, and thousands of islands, I can hardly imagine the magnitude of the challenges that the leadership of your country had to face over the years. Djibouti avails itself of this opportunity to remind us that the leadership in this country is proud of the partnership with the Republic of Indonesia. Trade and investment development, cooperation and partnership in the geothermal energy sector are being the predominant themes of our bilateral discussions and negotiations. No doubt your country is a great trade partner, and we also intend to attract more and more investments from Indonesia to the Djibouti market. Djibouti is pursuing its quest for a non-permanent seat at the Security Council for the years 2021 and 2022. We seek the support of influential countries like yours in Asia, and we certainly are adamant to continue to serve the cause of peace in the UN organ, together as we have always been doing it in the Horn of Africa and throughout the African continent at large.
The Minister of Muslim Affairs and Culture, Mr. Mumin Hassan Barre, took part in the work of the Forum of Ministers of Culture organized by UNESCO from 19 to 21st November in Paris. The main theme was culture and heritage, renewable energy for dialogue and peace. More than 140 ministers and senior officials from the world of culture participated in this major event to discuss the centrality of culture and its impact on sustainable development. The minister was accompanied by our ambassador to Paris, Ayad Musa Yahya, the technical advisor for Mr. Idris Musa, and the director of the culture, Mr. Douali Ahmed Hassan, as well as representative of the permanent delegation of Djibouti to UNESCO. At the opening ceremony, UNESCO Director General said that culture is a common language that breaks down barriers between peoples and civilization. In his speech for the occasion, the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Culture, Mr. Mumin Hassan Barre, said he was delighted to take part in this high-level meeting to share Djibouti's experience in promoting culture and heritage as a vehicle for dialogue and peace. He added that the Republic of Djibouti has been able to maintain its reputation as a haven of peace in a land of encounter and exchange in a region constantly shaken by armed conflicts. As part of the protection of the environment and the research of new sources of clean energy, the Djibouti Geothermal Energy Development Office, ODEC, in collaboration with the University of Po, organized on Wednesday a popularization workshop on our country's hydrogen resources. The aim is to inform the general public in particular high school academics and young Djiboutian researchers of the results of a research mission undertaken by a team of French and Djiboutian researchers to detect sites in the country that may contain natural hydrogen. The hydrogen chemical energy element is nowadays considered as an inaccessible source of green energy. During this popularization workshop, Dr. Isabelle Moretti, scientific expert and head of the French delegation of the University of Po, communicated the details of the results of the Pural, announcing the good news that at least on the many places visited, 3 sites in the Gouet region in Assal, the underground amphor with hydrogen.
We both worked on the geodynamics of the region, that is to understand how it works with respect to the movement of the plates, the continental plates here, and also for geothermal perspective. And in fact, I'm sorry, but for the last 50 years, we didn't reach yet the possibility to exploit geothermal. So, of course, I hope we'll succeed in this perspective. And I was very happy to have the opportunity to accompany Isabelle Moretti, who organized this trip. Because, of course, hydrogen may be a side product or a byproduct or a co-product of geothermal for the future. I think, well, we have found some indices, and I hope we will succeed in this perspective both in geothermal and hydrogen production.
On Thursday, November 21st, at the request of the director of the private primary school, Ali Melo, located at the Boulevard Ghali Patel, Gabot for the Sheikh Musa Training Center, was visited by the students of this school along with their principal and teachers. Upon their arrival, under the escort of the road safety gendarmes, the students and their teachers from this school, 109 students and 10 teachers were warmly welcomed by a large delegation composed of the senior officers of the gendarmerie. After a few words of thanks and welcome on behalf of the Chief of Gendarmerie Staff, Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, the students were taken onto place of arms to greet the national flag and sing the national anthem to the sound of music alongside two of the gendarmes. To this end, the students were divided into 3 groups and in line facing the flag like the gendarmes. 2 students, including a girl and a boy, were chosen to raise our day of flag. They also received some information on civic and moral education, such as the colors and meanings of the national flag, learning and singing the national anthem by heart, the motto of the Republic of Djibouti: unity, equality, peace, the national holiday, politeness and respect for parents, teachers, comrades, the elderly, but also the preservation of places including schools, educational materials, and environmental awareness. The Women's Associations of Tajora, chaired by Mrs. Hasna Hassan, organized a training session for the member associations of the network against FGM. In point against discouraged handicapped children has brought together the associations of Tajora, Obok City, and Asela in the Dakhil region. The meeting was attended by elected officials of Tajora and administrative officials. Participants highlighted the negative health consequences of excision on the health of children and future mothers. The president of the association and thanked all the participants and partners for their support, recalling thanks to the association and a network of trade districts has been created to fight against excision. The Ministry of Urban Planning, Environment and Tourism, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, launched on Wednesday, 20 November in Obok a vast program of consultation and awareness raising on the potential risks of the use of cosmetic products containing mercury on health and the environment for the interior regions and the municipalities of the city of Djibouti. The work of the Obok workshop held on the premises of the Regional Council was led by the President of the Regional Council, Deputy Prefect of Obok, in the presence of dermatologists at the Ministry of Health and National Coordinator of the Mercury Project at the Ministry of the Environment. The workshop brought together representatives of women's associations and civil society in Obok. The overall objective of this workshop was to introduce participants to the risks associated with the use of cosmetic products containing mercury. Moving on to the international news, and to close up with this edition, with Benjamin Netanyahu is more than ever in turmoil the day after the announcement of his indictment for corruption. This historic decision seriously compromises his chances of remaining in power. Never before has an Israeli prime minister been charged. In the evening, demonstrators gathered around his residence. Both his supporters and his detractors are angry with an Israeli prime minister who they say no longer has the legitimacy to lead the country. And that's all for this news. Thank you for joining us on the radio television of Djibouti, and have a good night.